December 7th, 1941. A date that lives in infamy, they say. For me, it's the date I watched my ship die. The date I watched my friends burn. They call me Mike, Michael O'Brien. I was 21 years old that morning. Just a kid, really, though I thought I was a man. I grew up in Philadelphia, working-class Irish family. My old man worked the docks, came home every night smelling like sweat in the Delaware River. 5 kids in a 3-bedroom row house. We didn't have much, but we had each other. That was enough. I joined the Navy in 1939, not because I was patriotic or anything noble like that. I joined because jobs were scarce, and the Navy promised 3 meals a day and a paycheck. My mother cried when I enlisted, said she had a bad feeling. Mothers always know, don't they? Boot camp was rough, but I made it through. They assigned me to the USS Arizona, a battleship, one of the biggest, most powerful ships in the Pacific Fleet. I was proud, sent pictures home to my family. Me in my dress whites standing in front of that massive ship. My mother put it on the mantel. I was a gunner's mate, worked in the Forward magazine, handling ammunition for the big guns. Hot, dangerous work. But I was young and strong and didn't mind it. Made friends with the crew. Good guys, most of them. There was Frankie DeMarco from Brooklyn, always talking about his girl back home. He had her letters tied up with a ribbon, kept them in his locker, read them over and over. And Charlie Boyd from Texas, big guy with a bigger laugh. And Joseph Joey Klein from Chicago, Jewish kid with a wicked sense of humor. We called ourselves the 4 Musketeers. Stupid, I know, but we were kids. Hawaii was paradise. That's what we all said. Perfect weather, beautiful beaches. The locals were friendly. We'd go into Honolulu on liberty, hit the bars, chase girls, blow our pay on stupid things. Normal sailor stuff. December 6th was a Saturday. We had liberty that evening. Frankie, Charlie, Joey, and me went into town. Drank too much, laughed too much, stayed out too late. We got back to the ship around midnight, stumbled to our bunks, fell asleep still half drunk. I remember Charlie saying something as we were drifting off. Another day in paradise, boys. He was smiling. We all were. Sunday morning, most of the officers were ashore. A lot of the crew, too. The Arizona was quiet, peaceful. The sun was coming up over the harbor, all pink and gold. Beautiful morning. The kind of morning that makes you glad to be alive. I was supposed to be up early for duty, but I slept in. Hangover from the night before. Figured I'd catch hell from the chief, but it was Sunday. Maybe he'd go easy on me. I was still in my bunk when I heard the first explosion. Thought it was a car backfiring or something. Rolled over, tried to go back to sleep. Then the general quarters alarm started blaring, and my world ended. I was out of my bunk before I was fully awake. Training does that. You hear general quarters, and your body moves before your brain catches up. The passageways were chaos. Men running, shouting, half-dressed, some still in their skivvies. The ship was shuddering. I could feel explosions through the deck plates, deep rolling booms that made your teeth rattle. "What's happening?" someone shouted. "Drill!" Another guy yelled back. "Has to be a drill." But it wasn't a drill. The alarm kept ringing. The explosions kept coming. And now I could smell it. Smoke, oil, something burning. I made it topside. The morning sun was bright, blinding. And then I saw them. Planes, dozens of planes, small, fast, with red circles on their wings. Japanese planes, diving, dropping bombs, strafing with machine guns. The sound was everywhere, engines screaming, bombs whistling, anti-aircraft guns starting to fire back. This can't be real, I thought. This can't be happening. But it was. It was happening. The harbor was under attack, not just the Arizona, all of it. Battleship Row. I could see the USS Oklahoma listing, the West Virginia burning, the California taking hits, explosions sending up huge columns of water and fire, Get to your stations! A chief petty officer was screaming, blood running down his face from a cut on his forehead. Move! 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 I ran for the forward magazine. That was my battle station. That's where I was supposed to be. But the ship was already hit, already burning, smoke pouring from somewhere amidships. A plane roared overhead, so low I could see the pilot's face. Young guy, Japanese. Couldn't have been much older than me. He wasn't smiling, wasn't scowling, just focused, doing his job, killing us. Machine gun fire raked the deck. Men went down, screaming, not screaming, just down. I threw myself behind a gun mount, felt bullets hitting the metal inches from my head. Return fire! Return fire! Officers were shouting orders. But half our guns weren't manned yet. Half our crew was still below decks or ashore. We were caught with our pants down, sitting ducks. I saw Frankie. He was at one of the .50 caliber positions, firing up at the planes. His face was set, determined. The gun was chattering, spitting brass casings. Don't know if he was hitting anything. Didn't matter. He was fighting back. More bombs falling. I watched one tumble through the air, almost lazy looking. Then it hit the USS Tennessee, tied up next to us. The explosion was massive. Felt the heat from it. Felt the shockwave. The Arizona shuddered again. Another hit, then another. The ship was taking a beating. Too many bombs. Too much fire. We were a stationary target, and they were tearing us apart. Abandon ship, someone was yelling. Abandon? Then it happened. The world exploded. A bomb hit our forward magazine. Right where I was supposed to be. Where all the ammunition was stored. Hundreds of tons of explosives. The Arizona lifted out of the water. I swear to God, the whole ship lifted. The bow just disintegrated. Gone in a fireball that rose hundreds of feet into the air. The blast knocked me off my feet. Threw me across the deck like a rag doll. My ears were ringing. Couldn't hear anything. Just a high-pitched whine. I tried to stand. Couldn't. The deck was tilting. The ship was sinking, breaking in half, settling into the mud of Pearl Harbor. Fire everywhere. The water around the ship was burning. Oil from ruptured fuel tanks floating on the surface, burning. Men jumping into it, burning alive in the water. I could see them. Swimming through flames, screaming, trying to reach shore. Some made it. Most didn't. The Arizona was dying, sinking, taking most of her crew with her. I don't know how long I lay there on that tilting deck. Seconds, minutes. Time stopped making sense. The heat was unbearable. The entire forward section of the ship was just gone, vaporized. In its place was a twisted mass of metal and fire. The superstructure was collapsing. The deck was buckling under my feet. Men were trapped. I could hear them screaming from below decks, pounding on bulkheads, trying to get out, but the hatches were jammed, warped from the blast. They were sealed in there, and the ship was flooding. They were going to drown, or burn, or both. I tried to move toward the sound, tried to help, but the deck was too hot. The metal was literally melting in places. My shoes were smoking. I couldn't reach them, couldn't do anything but listen to them die. Help us! Please, somebody help us! The voices got weaker, then stopped. One by one, they stopped. Joey Klein was one of them. I know because I recognized his voice. He was calling for his mother, in Yiddish. Words I didn't understand, but I knew what they meant. Every man calls for his mother at the end. I found Charlie Boyd on the main deck, or what was left of him. The blast had caught him full on. He was, I can't describe it. He wasn't Charlie anymore, just meat and bone and uniform fragments. But I recognized his boots, the ones he'd gotten custom made in town. Said they were the most comfortable boots he'd ever worn. He'd been standing maybe 30 feet from where I'd been. 30 feet. The difference between dead and alive. I vomited right there. Bent over and heaved up everything in my stomach while the ship burned around me and Japanese planes kept coming in for more runs, more explosions. The USS California was sinking. The Oklahoma had capsized, completely upside down. Men were trapped in her hull. I could see them beating on the metal from inside, hear them if I listened hard enough between explosions. Hundreds of men trapped in air pockets, slowly suffocating as the water rose. Rescue boats were trying to reach the ships, small boats, motor launches, anything that could float. Sailors pulling men from the burning water. But there were so many, too many. I saw a man on fire jump from the Tennessee. He hit the water, went under, came back up, still burning. The oil on the water was burning with him. He went under again, didn't come back up. Another man was swimming toward Ford Island. Strong swimmer, moving fast. A Japanese plane strafed him. The water around him churned white with bullet impacts. He stopped swimming. The water turned red. He floated face down. They were shooting men in the water, killing swimmers, strafing lifeboats. This wasn't war. This was murder. I had to get off the Arizona, had to abandon ship. The order had been given, but I'd been too stunned to move. Now the ship was settling fast. The stern was rising out of the water. If I didn't jump now, I'd go down with her. But the water was fire. Literally fire. How do you jump into fire? A group of sailors was gathering at the stern. An officer ensign, maybe, was organizing them. "We jump together," he was shouting. "Jump far. Get clear of the ship. Swim underwater as long as you can. The oil is on the surface." Made sense. Horrible sense. But sense. I joined them. Maybe 20 of us. All that was left of a crew of over 1,000. We lined up at the rail. The officer counted. 3, 2, 1, jump. We jumped. The water was warm, hot even. I went deep, kicked hard, swam underwater, eyes closed, lungs burning, praying I was going in the right direction, praying I wouldn't surface in the middle of the flames. My lungs were screaming. I had to breathe, had to surface. I kicked upward, broke the surface, gasped. Clean air. No fire. I'd made it through the burning patch. I treaded water, looked back at the Arizona. She was settling fast. The stern was high in the air now. The flag was still flying. Even as she died, the flag was still flying. Men were still jumping. Some didn't make it, got caught in the flames. I watched them burn, watched them drown, watched the ship that had been my home for 2 years slide beneath the surface. 1,100 men went down with her. 1,100. Most of them never made it out of their compartments, never had a chance. I swam for Ford Island. Took forever. I was exhausted, covered in oil. Couldn't see clearly, just kept swimming. One stroke after another. Don't stop, don't think. Just swim. Hands grabbed me, pulled me from the water. I collapsed on concrete. Lay there coughing up oil and water and bile. Someone was pouring fresh water over me, trying to wash off the fuel oil. "You're okay, sailor. You're okay. You made it." But I wasn't okay. Would never be okay again. The attack wasn't over, not even close. The Japanese came in waves. First wave, second wave. Bombers, torpedo planes, fighters. They just kept coming. The sky was full of them, and we were still trying to fight back with whatever we had. I was given a rifle, don't know whose, someone who didn't need it anymore. They pointed me toward a defensive position. Shoot anything with a rising sun on it. So I did. Fired at planes as they screamed overhead. Didn't hit anything. How do you hit a plane moving at 200 miles per hour with a rifle? But I fired anyway. Because what else could I do? Just stand there and take it. The harbor was chaos. Ships burning, ships sinking. The USS Shaw's forward magazine exploded. The whole bow just erupted. The blast was so big it looked like a volcano. Pieces of the ship rained down across the harbor. A chunk of metal the size of a car crashed into the water 50 feet from where I was standing. Ford Island's hangars were burning, aircraft destroyed on the ground before they could even take off. We had planes, we had weapons, but we'd been caught sleeping, caught unprepared, and now we were paying for it. I saw a pilot running toward a P-40 that somehow hadn't been destroyed, still in his pajamas. No time to get dressed. He climbed in and tried to start it. Machine gun fire from a Zero raked the plane, killed him in the cockpit. He slumped forward over the controls. Men were everywhere, running, shouting, bleeding. Some were helping the wounded. Some were fighting fires. Some were just standing there, staring, in shock. I was probably one of them. A medical corpsman grabbed my arm. "You hurt?" I looked down. My uniform was torn, covered in oil and blood. Some of it was mine. Most of it wasn't. I don't know. "Can you walk?" "Yeah." "Then help me." He pointed to a makeshift aid station. Wounded men everywhere, dozens of them. Burns, shrapnel wounds, missing limbs. The corpsmen were doing what they could, but there were too many. Too many. I helped carry men, held them down while corpsmen dug out shrapnel, applied tourniquets to stumps that used to be arms and legs, watched men die even as we tried to save them. One kid, who couldn't have been more than 18, had burns over most of his body. His skin was black and red and peeling. He was conscious, somehow still conscious. He kept asking if his ship was okay, if his buddies made it. I lied. Told him everything was fine. Told him his friends were safe. He smiled. Thanked me. Died a few minutes later. I found Frankie that afternoon. He was in a line of bodies they'd pulled from the water, face down on the concrete. I turned him over. His eyes were open, staring at nothing. There was a neat bullet hole in his chest. He still had his gun belt on, had died fighting. The letters from his girl were in his pocket, soaked with seawater and blood, but still there, tied with that ribbon. I took them, don't know why. Thought maybe I could send them back to her, let her know he'd kept them close. I never did. Still have them, actually, in a box at home. Can't bring myself to read them. Can't bring myself to throw them away. The all clear finally sounded late that afternoon. The Japanese were gone, pulled back to their carriers, left us to count the dead and fight the fires. Pearl Harbor was a graveyard. 8 battleships damaged or sunk, nearly 200 aircraft destroyed, over 2,400 Americans dead. And for what? To knock out our Pacific Fleet, to buy themselves time. It worked. They crippled us, but they also woke us up, made us angry, united us in a way nothing else could have. The brass came around that evening. Admirals and captains looking at the damage, planning the response, talking about payback and revenge. But revenge wouldn't bring back the Arizona, wouldn't bring back Frankie or Charlie or Joey or the 1,100 other men at the bottom of the harbor. I sat on the edge of the dock as the sun went down. The water was still burning in places, still coated with oil. The smell was overwhelming, fuel and smoke and death. Someone sat down next to me, another survivor from the Arizona. I didn't know his name, didn't ask. We just sat there together, watching our ship burn beneath the surface, watching the flag still flying from what was left of the mast. "They're saying we're at war now," he said. I nodded. We'd been at war for 12 hours, but officially, yeah, Congress would declare it tomorrow. We were in it now. "Good," he said. His voice was flat, empty. "I want to kill every last one of them." I understood the feeling. I felt it too. That rage, that need for vengeance. It burned hotter than the fires in the harbor. But I also knew something else. Something I couldn't quite put into words yet. That this was just the beginning. That the real horror was still to come. That we'd won the battle by surviving it, but the war was going to cost us everything. The days after the attack were a blur. We worked around the clock. Salvage operations, rescue operations, body recovery. They had us diving into the wrecks, looking for survivors. For the first 2 days, we found some men trapped in air pockets, sealed compartments. We cut through the hulls with torches, pulled them out. Miracles, they called them. But mostly we found bodies, bloated, burned, torn apart. We pulled them out, too. Gave them to Graves Registration. They tried to identify them. Dog tags, dental records, personal effects. Sometimes there wasn't enough left to identify. The USS Oklahoma was the worst. She'd capsized, completely upside down. We could hear men inside, tapping on the hull. SOS in Morse code. Tap, tap, tap. Desperate, rhythmic, pleading. We worked for days trying to cut them out, cutting through inches of steel while they slowly suffocated on the other side. Some we saved. 32 men pulled out alive, but we could hear more, always more. And then, one by one, the tapping stopped. I was there when the last one stopped, 3 days after the attack. We were cutting, listening, and the tapping just ended, mid-sequence, just stopped. The sailor with the torch stopped working, turned off the flame. We all stood there on that upside-down hull in silence, knowing that whoever was on the other side had just died while we were trying to save him. I walked away. Couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't pull another body from the water. Couldn't cut into another hull knowing we were probably too late. Couldn't listen to the tapping. That's when I broke. I found a corner behind one of the damaged hangars, sat down with my back against the wall, and I started shaking, violent, uncontrollable shaking. My teeth were chattering, couldn't make them stop, couldn't make any of it stop. I saw it all again. The explosion, Charlie's body, the men burning in the water, Joey calling for his mother, the tapping from inside the Oklahoma, the kid with the burns asking if his friends were okay, Frankie's open eyes. All of it, all at once, playing over and over in my head like a film reel stuck on repeat. I was making sounds, not words, just sounds, somewhere between crying and screaming. I couldn't breathe right, couldn't catch my breath, felt like I was drowning, like I was back in that burning water, going under, oil filling my lungs. A chaplain found me, older guy, kind face. He didn't say anything, just sat down next to me, put his hand on my shoulder, let me shake and cry and make those horrible sounds. When I finally stopped, when I finally ran out of whatever it was driving it, he spoke. You were on the Arizona. Not a question, a statement. I nodded. You're alive. Shouldn't be, I whispered. Should have been in the forward magazine. My battle station. I slept in, overslept. If I'd been where I was supposed to be, I'd be dead, like Charlie, like Joey, like all of them. But you're not. Why? I looked at him. Why me? Why not them? Charlie had a family, a wife and a kid back home. Joey was brilliant, was going to be a doctor after his enlistment. Frankie was good, really good, better than me. So why am I here and they're not? The chaplain was quiet for a long time. I don't know, he finally said. I don't have an answer for that. I wish I did. At least he was honest. Better than platitudes about God's plan or everything happening for a reason. There was no reason, no plan. Just random chance. Random, stupid, meaningless chance. What do? I asked. How do I keep going? One day at a time, he said. Some days, 1 hour at a time. You survived for a reason, even if you don't know what it is yet. Honor your friends by living, by remembering them. by making sure what happened here isn't forgotten. Nice words, maybe even true words, but they didn't make the shaking stop, didn't make the images go away, didn't explain why I got to live while better men died. They transferred me off salvage duty after that, said I needed rest, put me on light duty, clerical work. I sat in an office and pushed papers while outside men were still pulling bodies from the harbor. I felt like a coward, like I'd quit, like I'd let my shipmates down twice, once by not dying with them, and again by not being strong enough to help recover them. But I couldn't go back out there, couldn't face those wrecks again, couldn't hear the tapping. The nightmares started that week. Every time I closed my eyes, I was back on the Arizona, back in the water, back watching Charlie dissolve into nothing. I'd wake up screaming, drenched in sweat, smelling oil and smoke, even though I was in a clean bunk in a clean barracks. They gave me pills, told me they'd help me sleep. They did, but they didn't stop the dreams, just made me too groggy to wake up from them. So I stopped taking them. Better to not sleep than to be trapped in the nightmares. December 7th broke something in me. Broke something in all of us who were there. We put on our uniforms, we followed orders, we did our jobs. But inside, we were shattered, fractured, barely held together by discipline and duty and the need for revenge. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. They're wrong. What doesn't kill you just means you have to live with what you saw, what you survived, what you couldn't stop. I survived Pearl Harbor, but part of me died there. The best part. The part that believed the world made sense, that believed good things happened to good people, that believed I was safe. All gone. Sunk with the Arizona at the bottom of Pearl Harbor. I stayed in the Navy, fought through the whole war, Midway, Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, saw plenty more death, plenty more horror. But nothing ever compared to that Sunday morning in December. I came home in 1946. My mother hugged me at the train station, started crying, said I looked different, older, harder. I was 26, felt like 60. My old neighborhood had changed, or maybe I had. Everything seemed smaller, quieter, safe in a way that felt wrong, like the whole country was pretending that the world wasn't a violent, chaotic place where good men burned alive for no reason. I tried to settle back in, got a job at the post office, started dating a girl from church. Mary, sweet girl, patient. She tried to understand, tried to get me to open up. But how do you explain to someone who wasn't there? How do you make them understand what it's like to watch your ship explode, to swim through burning water, to hear men tapping from inside a capsized hull, knowing you can't save them? We got married anyway. 1948. Had 2 kids, boy and a girl, good kids. I loved them still, but I was never fully there. Part of me was always somewhere else, always back in Pearl Harbor, always 21 years old and watching the Arizona sink. The nightmares never stopped. 50 years later, I still have them. Still wake up choking, convinced I'm drowning in oil. Still see Charlie's body. Still hear Joey calling for his mother. Still smell the smoke. Loud noises make me flinch. Fireworks, backfires, thunder. My grandkids think it's funny sometimes. Grandpa jumping at nothing. They don't know, can't know. And I'm glad they can't. Glad they'll never understand. I can't watch war movies. Can't stomach them. All that Hollywood heroism. All those clean deaths. All those meaningful sacrifices. War isn't like that. War is chaos and terror and random death. War is your best friend dying while you live for no reason other than you overslept. Mary asked me once why I never talked about it. About Pearl Harbor. About the Arizona. It might help, she said, to talk about it. But talking about it means reliving it, means putting those images into words. means making her see what I saw, and I won't do that. Won't put that burden on her. Some things are better left unsaid. The Navy invited me back to Pearl Harbor in 1991. 50th anniversary of the attack. Big ceremony. Politicians making speeches. Veterans in their dress uniforms. Survivors gathering to remember. I almost didn't go. Couldn't imagine going back there. Seeing that place again. But Mary convinced me. Said I needed closure. Said it might help. It didn't help. Standing there on the memorial built over the Arizona, looking down through the water at the ship's hull, seeing the oil still leaking from her, still bleeding after all these years. The tears from the Arizona, they call it, been leaking since 1941, never stopped. I saw the names on the wall, 1,177 names. Every man who went down with the ship. I found them. Frankie DeMarco, Charlie Boyd, Joseph Klein, my friends, my brothers, still there, still 21 years old, still trapped in that ship at the bottom of the harbor. I broke down. Right there in front of everyone. Just lost it. Sobbing like a child. Mary held me. The other survivors understood. They knew. We all knew. We're a dying breed now. Pearl Harbor survivors. Most of my shipmates are gone. The ones who lived through the attack have died of old age, heart attacks, cancer, natural causes. There's only a handful of us left. I'm 71 years old, got grandkids, got a small house in Pennsylvania, got a peaceful life, should be grateful, and I am. But I'm also angry. Angry that I got all this when Frankie didn't, when Charlie didn't, when 1,100 men didn't. Survivor's guilt, the doctors call it. Like giving it a name makes it easier to carry. It doesn't. The weight never gets lighter. You just get used to carrying it. People ask me about Pearl Harbor sometimes, especially young people. Want to hear the story, want to know what it was like. I tell them it was loud, that I was scared, that I'm glad we won. Then I change the subject. I don't tell them about swimming through fire. Don't tell them about the tapping from inside the Oklahoma. Don't tell them about finding Charlie's body. Don't tell them that I still smell burning oil in my nightmares. Don't tell them that every December 7th I can't get out of bed, that I spend the whole day in darkness, reliving every second of that morning. They call it the Day of Infamy. Call us heroes. Built memorials and museums, made movies, wrote books, turned it into history, into something distant and noble and meaningful. But for those of us who were there, it's not history, it's not distant. It's right here, right now, always. The explosion, the fire, the screaming, the bodies, all of it, forever burned into our minds like a brand. December 7th, 1941. The day America entered World War II. The day we stopped being isolationist and became a superpower. The day that changed the course of history. For me, it's the day I learned that the world is random and cruel. That good men die for no reason. That safety is an illusion. That you can do everything right and still lose everything. It's the day I watched my ship die. Watched my friends die. Watched 1,100 men burn and drown and suffocate, and couldn't do a damn thing to stop it. I survived Pearl Harbor, got my life back, got to grow old, got to have a family, got all the things that Frankie and Charlie and Joey never got. But I never came home. Not really. Part of me is still there, still on that burning deck, still in that burning water, still watching the Arizona sink beneath the surface while the flag keeps flying. Still 21 years old and trying to understand why I lived and they died. Still waiting for an answer that will never come. The Arizona is still there at the bottom of Pearl Harbor, still bleeding oil, still holding the bodies of my friends. A tomb, a memorial. a warning. And me? I'm still here too, still bleeding, still carrying the weight of that morning, still haunted by the ghosts of better men who didn't make it home. They say I'm a survivor, a hero, part of the greatest generation. I'm not a hero. I'm a witness, a ghost myself, a man who lived while better men died, and who spent every day since trying to figure out why. We never came home, none of us. Not really. We're all still in Pearl Harbor, still on December 7th, 1941, still watching our world explode, still burning,